The Galactic Confederation scout vessel Eternal Vigilance drifted silently through the darkness of space. Its hull gleamed under the distant starlight as it patrolled the borders of protected Confederation territory. The ship's sensors constantly scanned for any unauthorized entry. Officer Tak sat at his monitoring station, the soft blue glow of the control panel reflecting off his gray skin. His 4 eyes blinked rapidly when an alert flashed across his screen. A ship had just crossed into Sector 7, a vessel with markings and configurations unlike anything in their extensive database. Captain Han, Tak called, his voice steady despite his growing concern. We have an unknown vessel entering Sector 7. Configuration doesn't match any registered species. Captain Han moved swiftly to Tak's station. She was tall even for her species, with deep purple skin that had faded slightly with age. Her reputation for caution and precision had earned her this border patrol assignment. "Show me," she ordered. A holographic display activated above the console, showing the unknown ship. It was oddly shaped, sleek at the front with wing-like structures extending from its middle section and engine pods that seemed too small for its size. But what caught Han's attention wasn't the design. It was how the ship moved. Most vessels reacted to space's natural forces, gravitational pulls, radiation waves, and cosmic debris. This ship moved differently. It made smooth, flowing course corrections before hitting gravitational eddies, as if it could somehow sense them in advance. "That's impossible," Han murmured. "It's anticipating the space currents before encountering them." "Should we attempt contact, Captain?" asked Communications Officer Zhang from her station. "Initiate contact protocols," Han decided, "and alert Defense Command." "I don't like this." Officer Zhang sent the standard greeting package, mathematical sequences followed by visual representations designed to establish basic communication with any intelligent species. They waited. No response came. 5 minutes later, Zhang tried again with a different protocol. Still nothing. "Third attempt now, Captain," she reported, sending another communication package. The strange ship continued its course, now heading directly toward a restricted research sector where the Confederation kept several sensitive projects. Captain Han's concern deepened. "They're either ignoring us or don't understand," she said. "Either way, they're approaching restricted space." Within 3 hours, a small defense fleet had assembled at Captain Han's request. 3 patrol cruisers and a command vessel took positions around the intruder's projected path. Commander Park, a veteran of border conflicts, took charge of the operation from the command vessel. "This is Commander Park of the Galactic Confederation." He broadcast on all frequencies. "Unknown vessel, you have entered protected space without authorization. Halt your approach immediately." The human ship maintained its course. "They're not stopping," reported Tactical Officer Gill, continuing on trajectory to the restricted zone. Commander Park's patience ended. "Fire warning shots. Pattern Delta." The lead cruiser fired energy pulses in a precise pattern, deliberately missing the unknown ship by a calculated distance, close enough to be unmistakable as warnings, but far enough to avoid actual damage. What happened next stunned everyone watching. The unknown vessel didn't react like normal ships. It didn't pause, reverse course, or transmit distress signals. Instead, it performed a series of impossibly precise maneuvers, shifting position microseconds before each energy pulse reached its previous location. It moved as if it knew exactly where the shots would land before they were fired. "Impossible," Commander Park whispered. "Fire again." A second pattern was launched, this time from 2 cruisers simultaneously. Again, the strange ship moved with uncanny precision, almost dancing between the energy pulses. "It's like it knows where we're going to shoot before we do," Officer Gill said, his voice filled with disbelief. Inside the human vessel Nimble Wanderer the atmosphere was tense but controlled. The bridge hummed with activity as the crew monitored systems and responded to the alien aggression. Unlike the Confederation ships, this vessel was staffed entirely by humans, the first deep space explorers from Earth to venture this far from their home system. Captain Jai-yun stood at the center of the bridge, her short black hair neatly trimmed, her expression calm despite the crisis. She checked the damage report on her tablet, relieved to find they had avoided any hits so far. Predictive navigation holding at 98% efficiency, reported Lieutenant Kim from the helm station. The young officer's fingers moved quickly over the controls, making minor adjustments as the ship's AI suggested evasive paths. But those were definitely weapons, Captain. Yes, they were. Jai-yun agreed, studying the sensor readings of the alien vessels surrounding them. The Nimble Wanderer had been designed as humanity's first true interstellar exploratory vessel, equipped with revolutionary technology that allowed it to navigate dangerous space phenomena with unprecedented precision. The heart of the ship was its predictive navigation system, an AI that processed thousands of variables per second, predicting the movement of everything from micrometeorites to energy weapon discharges. It had been created to help explorers navigate asteroid fields and solar storms, not to dodge alien attacks. Can we communicate with them? Jai-yun asked Communications Officer Baek. I've tried every first contact protocol in the book, Captain. They're sending us messages too, but our translators can't make sense of them yet, Baek replied, frustration evident in his voice. Another volley of energy pulses flashed past the viewports as the ship automatically adjusted its position to avoid them. Seems we've wandered into someone's territory, Jai-yun said grimly, gripping the edge of her command console. And they're not happy about it. The Nimble Wanderer continued its defensive dance, avoiding damage while surrounded by ships of a civilization humanity had never encountered before. It was hardly the peaceful first contact Earth's leaders had hoped for when they launched this mission. But as Captain Jai-yun watched the alien vessels through the viewscreen, she knew one thing for certain. Their journey had just become far more complicated than anyone could have predicted. Admiral Kang stood on the command deck of the Supreme Authority watching the holographic display with intense focus. After 30 cycles in the Confederation fleet, he had risen to become one of their most decorated officers. His broad shoulders and stern expression reflected the weight of his experience. A thin scar ran from his left eye to his jaw, a reminder of a border skirmish from his early career. "Show me the pursuit status," he ordered. The tactical display expanded, showing 6 Confederation vessels in formation behind the strange alien ship. Their quarry moved with a grace that defied conventional space physics, making turns that should have torn apart its structural integrity. "It continues to evade all attempts at capture, Admiral," reported Captain Yoon. "Commander Park requests permission to use heavy weapons." Admiral Kang shook his head firmly. "Denied. I want that ship intact." His eyes narrowed as he studied the vessel's movement patterns. Whatever technology allows such movement must be studied. It could revolutionize our fleet capabilities. The alien ship, now identified as coming from a planet called Earth, suddenly veered toward the edge of Confederation space, heading directly for the region known as the Scattered Stones. "They're entering the asteroid field," Captain Yoon announced, alarm evident in her voice. The Scattered Stones was infamous throughout the sector. An unusually dense asteroid field with unpredictable movement patterns, it had claimed 16 Confederation vessels over the decades. Most captains avoided it entirely. "They must be desperate or insane," muttered Officer Lee from his station. Admiral Kang leaned forward. "Or they possess navigation technology far beyond our understanding. All ships, maintain pursuit. Use caution in the field." The human vessel plunged into the asteroid field without hesitation. The Confederation ships followed, maintaining a careful distance between the massive, tumbling rocks. Almost immediately, the difficulty became apparent. While the Earth ship navigated through the dangerous maze like a fish through water, the Confederation vessels struggled with the unpredictable movements of the asteroids. "Cruiser 8 reports hull damage," reported Communications Officer Gill. They're falling back. Admiral Kang gripped the railing tighter. Maintain pursuit with the remaining ships. 10 minutes later, disaster struck. 2 Confederation cruisers failed to avoid a suddenly shifting asteroid. The collision tore through their hulls, sending debris scattering through space. Emergency beacons activated as escape pods launched from the doomed vessels. Dispatch rescue ships for survivors, Kang ordered immediately, his face grim. The rest continue pursuit. Inside the asterisk, nimble wanderer asterisk, the situation was tense but controlled. Captain Jai-Yun stood at the command center, watching their pursuers on the rear view screens. Her uniform was wrinkled from hours at her post, and dark circles had formed under her eyes. "Status report," she requested. "Hull integrity at 97%, reported Officer 1. Minor damage to sensor array 3. Life support functioning normally." Engineering Chief Min worked furiously at her station, analyzing data from their encounters with the alien weapons. Her fingers moved rapidly across her console as complex patterns formed on her screen. "I've been studying their weapons' signatures," Min said, looking up at the captain. "Their targeting systems require 3 microseconds to lock onto a moving object. Our predictive system is calculating trajectories in 2 microseconds. That's our edge." Jai-Yun nodded, processing this information. "So we're staying ahead of them, but barely." "Exactly," Min confirmed. "The margin is thin. Any damage to our predictive system could eliminate our advantage." The ship shuddered as a small asteroid brushed against their shields. Lieutenant Kim adjusted their course smoothly, the predictive navigation system guiding his hands with gentle pulses through the neural interface gloves all helmsmen wore. "We're approaching the center of the field," Kim reported. "Density increasing by 30%. Jai-Yun wiped sweat from her brow, leaving a smudge of engine grease. She hadn't slept in over 20 hours. "We can't keep this up forever. We need to communicate with them before someone gets killed." She turned to Communications Officer Sung, who had been working tirelessly to decipher the alien transmissions. "Have you made any progress understanding their language?" Jai-Yun asked. Sung nodded excitedly. "Yes, Captain. Their communication patterns follow a logical structure our computers can analyze. I've identified what appear to be standard frequency bands they use for ship-to-ship communication. With some adjustments, I believe we can transmit a message they might understand." "Do it," Jai-Yun ordered. "Find us a place to catch our breath." Lieutenant Kim guided the ship behind a massive asteroid nearly 2 kilometers wide, temporarily blocking them from direct sensor contact with their pursuers. The momentary respite gave them precious seconds to work. Communications Officer Sung calibrated their transmitter, fingers dancing across his control panel. "Ready, Captain. I've approximated their frequency patterns and modulation. It won't be perfect, but the basic message should get through." Jai-Yun stepped closer to the communication station. She took a deep breath, aware that her words might be the first human communication with an alien civilization. "This is the Earth vessel asterisk Nimble Wanderer asterisk," Jai-Yun broadcast, her voice clear and measured despite her exhaustion. "We are peaceful explorers. Please cease hostilities. We did not intend to violate your territory." The message went out, translated as best as their systems could manage into what they hoped was an understandable format for the alien vessels. On the bridge of the asterisk Supreme Authority asterisk, Admiral Kang's 4-fingered hand raised in surprise as the translated message came through their speakers. The words were strangely structured, but the meaning was clear enough. "They claim to be explorers," Captain Yoon said. "It could be a deception." Admiral Kang studied the tactical display, watching as the human ship remained stationary behind the asteroid. Perhaps we've been chasing a scientific vessel this entire time." After a moment's consideration, he made his decision. "Maintain positions but hold fire. Let's see what these humans have to say." The chase had paused, but the tension remained. 2 civilizations faced each other across the void of space, each wondering what the other's next move would be. The Confederation War Council gathered in the Strategic Command Center of Admiral Kang's flagship. The room was dimly lit, with a large holographic display in the center showing the current position of the human vessel. 7 senior officers sat around the circular table, their faces illuminated by the blue glow of the display. Admiral Kang entered last, his uniform bearing the marks of his rank and achievements. The other officers stood until he took his seat at the head of the table. "Report," Kang ordered simply. Tactical Officer Lee stood. He was younger than most at the table, but his analytical skills had earned him this position. He tapped a control panel, and the holographic display changed to show detailed scans of the human ship. "They call themselves humans," Lee reported. "Based on the limited communication we've received, they claim to be from a planet called Earth in a system we haven't previously cataloged." The display showed footage of the human vessel's evasive maneuvers during the asteroid field chase. Lee pointed to specific movements that seemed impossible for most ships. "Their vessel's movements suggest an advanced predictive algorithm," he continued. "Our analysis indicates they aren't simply reacting to our weapons. They're anticipating them before we fire. This suggests either precognitive abilities, which we've never confirmed in any species, or more likely, an extremely sophisticated prediction system." Commander Jin, head of the science division, raised a skeptical hand. No computer system could predict weapon discharges with such accuracy. There must be another explanation. "Perhaps," Lee acknowledged, "but we've analyzed the pattern of their evasions against more than 50 weapons discharges. In every case, they began evasive action approximately 1.8 microseconds before our weapons fired. This cannot be coincidence." Admiral Kang studied the display thoughtfully. "So they can predict our standard firing patterns. Then we must become unpredictable." He turned to his weapons officer. "Adapt our targeting systems. Randomize discharge sequences. No patterns that could be analyzed and predicted." "Yes, Admiral," the officer replied, immediately transmitting the orders to the fleet. Kang stood and examined the star chart. "Where is the human vessel now?" "They've taken position near the outer boundary of the scattered stones," Lee said. "They appear to be making repairs. Our last attack may have caused some damage before they escaped." Kang nodded. "Prepare all ships. We'll test their predictive capabilities with our new approach." On board the Nimble Wanderer the situation was growing increasingly desperate. Emergency lighting bathed the corridors in red as repair crews worked to fix damaged systems. On the bridge, Captain Jai-yun met with her senior officers to assess their options. Science Officer Do had been working non-stop for hours. Her workstation was cluttered with data pads and empty stimulant drink containers. Despite her exhaustion, her eyes were bright with excitement as she presented her findings. "I've been analyzing the intercepted communications between their vessels," she explained, pointing to complex waveforms on her screen. "Their weapons rely on quantum entanglement for targeting. It's quite brilliant, actually. The targeting beam and the energy weapon are entangled at the quantum level, ensuring perfect alignment." Captain Jai-yun frowned. "If their targeting is that precise, how have we been able to evade them?" "That's the interesting part," Do said, zooming in on a particular section of the data. "There's a fluctuation in the alignment phase, a brief moment, just 2.1 microseconds, where the quantum link stabilizes before firing. Our predictive system has been detecting that stabilization phase. But they'll adapt," Lieutenant Kim pointed out. "They're not fools." "Already happening," Communications Officer Sung reported from his station. "I'm detecting new command protocols being distributed through their fleet. They're changing their firing patterns." Captain Jai-yun leaned forward. "So what can we do, Do?" The science officer smiled. "If we broadcast a counter-frequency during that stabilization phase, we could potentially disrupt their quantum alignment. It won't stop them from firing, but it would throw off their accuracy significantly." "Could that work?" Jai-yun asked, hope creeping into her voice for the first time in hours. "In theory," Do replied. "We'd need to modify our shield emitters to broadcast the counter-frequency. Engineering Chief Min is already working on the adjustments. As they discussed the plan, Tactical Officer 1 interrupted with an urgent report. "Captain, the Confederation ships are moving. They're not approaching directly, but—" He paused, studying the sensor readings. "They appear to be forming a pattern around the gravity well of the collapsed star in Sector 9. Jia moved to the tactical display. "They're setting a trap," she realized. "They want to herd us toward that gravity well, where we'd have less room to maneuver." The senior officers exchanged concerned glances. The collapsed star created dangerous gravitational conditions that would severely limit their escape options. "Options?" Jiayun asked simply. "We could try to break through their formation here," Kim suggested, pointing to a seemingly thin section of their blockade. "Too risky," one countered. "They positioned their heaviest weapons in that sector. It looks weak but isn't." Before they could decide, the ship's sensors detected movement from the Confederation fleet. 3 cruisers had begun an approach, firing precisely calculated shots that didn't aim to hit the Nimble Wanderer but instead to force it to move in specific directions, toward the waiting destroyer's position near the collapsed star. "They're driving us like cattle," Jiayun muttered. The Nimble Wanderer evaded the initial shots, but the tactical situation was clear. Each evasion was pushing them closer to the gravity, well where more Confederation ships waited. Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. A warning klaxon sounded as damage reports flooded in. "Direct hit to port section." Engineering reported over the comm. "Life support damaged in sections 12 through 15. Emergency containment active. They're adapting." Kim shouted from the helm, his fingers dancing across the controls as he fought to maintain their position. "The randomized firing patterns are confusing our predictive system." Jiayun gripped the arms of her command chair as another near-miss rocked the ship. She had seconds to make a decision before they were pushed into a position from which they couldn't escape. She took a deep breath and turned to Science Officer Do. "Is your counter-frequency ready?" "Min reports the modifications are complete, but untested," Do replied. "We're out of time for testing," Jiayun said. She straightened in her chair, her decision made. "Implement Do's countermeasures immediately, and prepare for emergency maneuver Theta." The bridge crew responded with immediate action. As another Confederation blast narrowly missed their starboard engine, the Nimble Wanderer began broadcasting the counter-frequency. Captain Jiayun watched the tactical display, knowing the next few minutes would determine whether they escaped or became captives of the Confederation. The game of cat and mouse had entered a new phase, with both sides adapting to the other's tactics in a deadly dance among the stars. Admiral Kang stood on the bridge of his command vessel with his hands clasped behind his back. After hours of pursuit, the human ship continued to evade his fleet's best efforts. His patience was wearing thin. "Bring in the resonance cannons," he ordered. Captain Yum looked up in surprise. "Admiral, those are still experimental. We haven't completed all safety tests." "This situation warrants extraordinary measures," Kang replied firmly. "Prepare them immediately." The resonance cannons represented the newest weapon in the Confederation's arsenal. Unlike standard energy weapons, they emitted a specialized frequency designed to disrupt predictive navigation systems. The technology had been developed to counter automated pirate vessels, but had never been deployed in actual combat. Within minutes, 2 sleek black cannons were mounted on the forward section of Kang's command ship. Their unusual design featured spiral emitters that glowed with a pale blue light as they powered up. "Resonance cannons at full charge," Admiral, reported Weapons Officer Jun. Kang watched as the human vessel continued its evasive maneuvers ahead of them. A small smile crossed his face. "We have them now," he said with satisfaction. The first resonance blast fired, sending out an invisible wave that disrupted space in a unique pattern. The human ship's movements suddenly became less fluid, as if it was struggling to predict the new weapon's effect. "Direct hit to their starboard section," Jun announced as a conventional follow-up shot connected with the human vessel. On his tactical display, Kang could see the human ship was now trailing a small debris field. Its speed decreased as it changed course abruptly, heading toward a nearby phenomenon, the Whispering Nebula. "They're seeking cover in the nebula," noted Tactical Officer Lee. "Sensor effectiveness will drop by approximately 60% if we follow." Kang considered his options. The Whispering Nebula got its name from the unusual radiation patterns that interfered with communications and sensors. Ships entering it often reported hearing strange whispers and echoes in their communication systems. "They're damaged and desperate," Kang decided. "Follow them in, but proceed with caution." All ships maintained visual contact with each other. The human vessel vanished into the blue-green clouds of the nebula. The Confederation fleet followed in careful formation. Inside the Nimble Wanderer *, the situation was critical. The bridge was bathed in red emergency lighting, and the acrid smell of burned circuitry filled the air. Captain Jai-yun moved between damaged stations, helping injured crew members while continuing to direct their escape. "Status report," she called out, pressing a bandage to a cut on her forehead. Engineering Chief Min looked up from her console, her face illuminated by the emergency lights. "Main power at 47%. That new weapon they used. It created some kind of interference pattern that confused our predictive systems. Can we counter it?" Jai-yun asked. "I think so," Min replied. "The nebula is actually helping us. Its natural radiation is providing cover while I recalibrate our shields." Lieutenant Kim worked furiously at the helm, manually guiding the ship deeper into the nebula. Without the predictive system at full capacity, he had to rely on his own reflexes and training. "They're following us in," reported Tactical Officer 1. "5 ships in formation. Their sensors will be compromised in here just like ours." Jai-yun's mind raced. Their ship was damaged, but they had one advantage. They understood the Confederation's targeting systems better now. If they could use that knowledge, they might have one last chance to escape. "Min, what's the status on those shield modifications we discussed?" she asked. "Shield modifications complete," Min reported with a tired smile. "Broadcasting false targeting signatures now." The plan was clever but risky. They had reconfigured their shields to broadcast ghost signals, false sensor readings that would make it appear as if the Nimble Wanderer was in multiple locations simultaneously. In the confusion of the nebula, it might just work. "All stations, prepare for emergence maneuver," Jai-yun ordered. "We'll only get one chance at this." The Nimble Wanderer moved silently through the nebula, occasionally releasing small sensor buoys that mimicked its signature. Each buoy added another ghost to the Confederation sensors. Admiral Kang's fleet proceeded cautiously through the cloudy expanse, their sensors struggling to maintain a lock on the human vessel. The ships moved in tight formation to avoid losing each other in the blinding fog. "I'm detecting multiple signals," reported Sensor Officer Gill, frustration evident in his voice. "The nebula is causing echoes, or they're using some kind of countermeasure." "Focus all sensors on finding the true signal," Kang ordered. "They're damaged. They can't have gone far." After 20 minutes of careful navigation, the Confederation fleet emerged from the far side of the nebula. They immediately spread out in attack formation, weapons charged and ready. "Target all signals," Kang commanded. "Fire on my mark." The Confederation ships opened fire simultaneously, energy weapons blazing into the empty space where sensor ghosts indicated the human vessel might be. But instead of hitting their target, they found themselves firing at empty space, or worse, at each other. "Cease fire," Kang shouted as he realized what was happening. "Where is the actual human ship?" The answer came when Sensor Officer Gill gasped in shock. "Admiral, they're behind us. They must have slipped between our formation while we were in the nebula." The Nimble Wanderer had indeed executed a daring maneuver. While the Confederation ships were confused by the multiple ghost signals, the human vessel had carefully navigated between them, using their own ships as cover. Now clear of immediate danger, Captain Jai-yun made a bold decision. She opened a direct communication channel to the Confederation command ship. "This is Captain Jai-yun of the Earth vessel Nimble Wanderer *," she broadcast. "Admiral Kang, I request a ceasefire and an opportunity to explain our presence in your territory." On his bridge, Kang was surprised to receive the direct communication. After a moment's hesitation, he accepted the transmission. The view screen showed a human female, her face marked with small injuries, but her eyes clear and determined. "Admiral, this ship was never designed for combat," Jai-yun explained. "The Nimble Wanderer * is a prototype rescue vessel created to navigate through natural disasters and war zones to extract civilians. Our mission was to test its capabilities in deep space. We had no intention of violating your territory or provoking conflict." Kang listened skeptically, but ordered a full scan of the human vessel. Officer Tak carried out the detailed analysis, comparing the ship's capabilities to known warship specifications. "Admiral," Tak reported after completing his scan, "their power distribution systems are primarily focused on sensors, shields, and navigation. Weapon systems are minimal, defensive only. They've been running, not fighting. Their technology is defensive by design." A murmur spread through the Confederation command as this revelation sank in. They had been chasing not a warship or spy vessel, but essentially a rescue ship, one with remarkable defensive capabilities, but no offensive intent. Admiral Kang looked back at the human captain on his view screen, seeing her and her mission in a new light. The Grand Council chamber of the Confederation gleamed with polished stone and metal. 200 representatives from various worlds sat in tiered seats that circled a central speaking floor. The emergency session had been called specifically to address the human situation. Representative Choi stood at the center of the chamber. She was older than most council members, her skin a pale blue that had faded with age. Her voice remained strong as she addressed the assembly. "This encounter presents a unique opportunity," she argued. "A new species with advanced technology has entered our space. They have demonstrated both impressive capabilities and peaceful intentions. I propose we establish formal diplomatic relations with these humans." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some nodded in agreement, while others shook their heads. Security Minister Yoon rose next. Unlike Choi, he was young and ambitious, known for his hardline positions on border security. "The human vessel entered restricted space without permission," Yoon countered. "They ignored communication attempts and evaded lawful pursuit. Their technology could transform our military capabilities. We should seize their vessel and study it thoroughly before allowing them to leave." The chamber erupted in heated debate. Some representatives shouted support for Yoon's position, while others called for caution and diplomacy. Admiral Kang watched silently from his seat near the council leaders. As the commander who had led the pursuit, his opinion carried significant weight. When he finally stood to speak, the chamber fell silent. "I have faced this human vessel in combat," Kang began. "I lost 2 ships and nearly lost more trying to capture it. But I have also spoken with its captain and verified its purpose." He paused, looking around the chamber. "A species that develops such technology for saving lives rather than taking them deserves respectful engagement. Their ship was built to rescue people from disasters, not to wage war. This speaks to their character as a species." His words surprised many who knew him as a traditionally conservative military leader. "I recommend peaceful contact," Kang concluded. "We have much to learn from each other." After hours of debate, the council voted narrowly in favor of diplomatic engagement. The human vessel would be granted safe passage and formal recognition as representatives of Earth. The next day, Captain Jai-yun prepared to board the Confederation flagship for her meeting with Admiral Kang. She wore her formal uniform, freshly cleaned despite the shortage of supplies on the damaged Nimble Wanderer *. "Are you sure about this?" Lieutenant Kim asked as they waited in the airlock. "You'll be alone on their ship." Jai-yun nodded. "Sometimes you have to take a personal risk to prevent a greater one." She checked the data tablet she carried. Besides, the technical specifications we're offering are already outdated by Earth standards. We're not giving away anything critical. The Confederation shuttle arrived, and Jai-Yun boarded alone. 20 minutes later, she stood in Admiral Kang's private meeting room aboard his flagship. The room was austere but elegant, with a large viewing window that showed the stars beyond. Captain Jai-Yun, Admiral Kang greeted her formally. "Please sit." The meeting lasted 3 hours. Jai-Yun explained Earth's exploration mission and humanity's desire for peaceful contact with other species. She offered technical specifications for their basic shield harmonics in exchange for safe passage and formal diplomatic recognition. "Your offer is acceptable," Kang said finally, "though I suspect the specifications you're providing aren't your most advanced." Jai-Yun smiled slightly. "They'll give your engineers plenty to study, and they demonstrate our good faith." Kang nodded. "Fair *enough." He stood and walked to the viewing window, gesturing for Jai-Yun to join him. Together they looked out at the Nimble Wanderer *, which seemed small and vulnerable next to the massive Confederation vessels. "Your ship has impressed us," Admiral Kang admitted. "The Nimble Wanderer * will be remembered in our histories. Not many vessels can claim to have evaded an entire Confederation pursuit fleet." "We were lucky," Jai-Yun replied modestly. "No," Kang said. "You were skilled and innovative. Those are qualities we respect." The next morning, 3 Confederation vessels formed an honor guard around the Nimble Wanderer * as it was escorted to the border of their territory. The human crew worked frantically to repair critical systems during the journey, preparing for their long voyage home. As they reached the border, Admiral Kang transmitted one final message. "We will prepare for your diplomats," he said. "Return with them, Captain Jai-Yun. Your understanding of our people would prove valuable." Jai-Yun sat in her command chair, feeling the weight of the Admiral's words. "We look forward to returning under more peaceful circumstances, Admiral." The Nimble Wanderer * crossed the border and set course for Earth, its experimental engines humming as it accelerated to maximum speed. 3 months later, the ship approached Earth orbit. Despite their damaged systems and limited supplies, they had made it home. The crew cheered as the blue-green planet came into view. Earth had changed during their absence. News of their encounter with the Confederation had reached home through the ship's long-range communications. The United Space Administration had already begun preparing for formal diplomatic contact. Admiral Chen of the Space Administration greeted Jai-Yun personally when she landed. "Your mission data is remarkable," he told her as they walked through headquarters. "The predictive navigation system performed beyond our most optimistic projections." "In ways we never anticipated," Jai-Yun agreed. "The system wasn't designed for evading weapons fire. Yet it may have prevented an interstellar incident," Chen noted. "The Council has already approved a diplomatic mission to the Confederation, and they want you to lead it." Jai-Yun stopped walking. "Me? I'm not a diplomat." "You're the only human who has met these aliens face to face," Chen replied. "You earned their respect. That makes you more qualified than any career diplomat." 6 weeks later, Captain Jai-Yun, now appointed Special Envoy to the Confederation, stood in Earth's largest shipyard. Before her loomed the gleaming hull of the Peaceful Discourse *, a proper diplomatic vessel built specifically for the mission to Confederation space. The ship incorporated many of the Nimble Wanderer's * systems, including an improved version of the predictive navigation system. But unlike its predecessor, it also featured dedicated communication arrays, meeting spaces, and cultural exchange facilities. The crew gathered for their final briefing before departure. Many were specialists in linguistics, anthropology, and diplomacy, though Jai-Yun had insisted on bringing several crew members from the original mission, including Lieutenant Kim and Science Officer Do. "We went looking for what was out there," she told the assembled crew, "and found not just alien life, but a reflection of ourselves, beings capable of choosing peace even when war seems easier." She looked up at the ship that would carry them back to Confederation space, not as fugitives this time, but as honored guests and representatives of humanity. The journey won't be easy, she continued. Cultural differences, language barriers, misunderstandings. We'll face them all. But remember what we learned from our first encounter. Understanding is possible, even in the most challenging circumstances. As the crew boarded the ship, Jae-hyun took one last look at Earth. The journey of the ship that couldn't be hit had opened the door to something far more valuable than any technology. Understanding between two civilizations that might otherwise have become enemies. 2 days later, the Peaceful Discourse departed Earth orbit, carrying humanity's first official ambassadors to the stars. The end.